Wow. Hello and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Log Show here on WSJU and on YouTube. A light weekend last week, not a lot of sports going on. Shout out the WWE, honestly, is the first people I want to shout out, surprisingly enough. I know I sound like I'm 5 years old here, but uh, if you guys didn't tune in, WrestleMania this weekend was actually extremely entertaining. Cody Rhodes Seth, versus Roman Reigns was extremely fun to watch. So much happened. John Cena came back, The Undertaker, The Rock. It was actually really fun to watch as a match in whole. Not only that, obviously last night the big news, the Yukon Huskies do it again. They repeat as national champions, beating Purdue by 15, beating them 75-60. Zach Edey had a good game for Purdue, but it was not enough. Him having 65% of their points was not enough for Purdue to get it done. Tristan Newton had a good game. Cam Spencer played pretty well for UConn as well. So congratulations also to the UConn Huskies for being repeat champions. Shout out to the Yankees. We'll talk about them in a little while, too. They're on a little bit of a roll here, winning their last game last night against the Marlins 7-0. Juan Soto getting his first home run in Yankee Stadium either yesterday or the day before that. So that was very fun. And then, obviously, this Saturday night, a moment all fighting fans have been waiting for. UFC 300 will happen this weekend, Saturday night in Las Vegas, with the headline, the main event being Alex Potan Pereira versus Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. And I cannot wait. Not only that, obviously we have the fight for the BMF belt between Gaethje and Holloway. We have the co-main event for the women's strawweight belt, Wei Li versus Yan Zohan. Down the list, I could keep going how loaded this card is. Just up and down from fight one, especially just to pull up the exact list so I don't forget any fight specifically, down from the prelims, from the early prelims, the night starts off with Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, a bantamweight fight. Davison Figueiredo going up in weight for this fight, his first bantamweight bout, if I remember correctly. They have him already ranked in the top 10. So off the rip on ESPN, we are seeing a banger of a fight. Davison Figueiredo currently sitting at minus 340. Currently sitting at minus 340. Sorry. And then, but yeah, he fights Cody Garbrandt, both of which, obviously, in total, this fight will be a banger no matter what. Don't get me wrong. This fight is going to be a banger. Cody Garbrandt, obviously, is Cody Garbrandt. That dude likes to fight. Let me tell you that. Cody Garbrandt enjoys a good fight. Not only that, you have Davison Figueiredo, who is, like I said, going into his first strawweight bout. His last fight was against Rob Font, where I believe he won by knockout. I know he won. I can't remember exactly. Let me pull it up here. But his last fight was, he won by decision. That was his first bantamweight fight. He did fight Rob Font on a UFC fight night back in December. But nonetheless, Davison Figueiredo is an absolute brawler of a fighter. obviously a former flyweight champion, had that classic, what was it, 3 or 4? Was it 4? Did they get to 4 fights? Had the classic bouts against Brandon Moreno, that classic rivalry that went back and forth for like 2, 3 years. And then obviously on the other side, in the other corner, you have Cody Garbrandt, who's, I mean, some of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen come from this guy. You know, you got that buzzer beater against, if I remember, it's the Korean Zombie that he threw. No, I'm thinking of Yair Rodriguez with the elbow. But he's got that buzzer beater right hook that everybody knows that went famous. Cody Garbrandt, also a former champion in the UFC, someone who's been around for a while. Some of the strongest hands in the UFC, one of the best boxers in the UFC. He probably believes he is the best boxer in the UFC. So that's just to start the night. After that, we got Bobby Green versus Jim effin Miller. Sadly, this fight's on ESPN, so Bruce Buffer won't be able to introduce him as Jim effin Miller. I saw something, UFC fans do this, that hopefully Bruce leaves like a nice 2 seconds for us to say it, for the people live to say it themselves, for the fans to chant it. Hopefully he goes, and introducing now, Jim Miller. Like, that'd be fun, so like the fans could chant the effing. But nonetheless, that's another fight that's just going to be a brawl. These are two dudes that like to get down and dirty, if you know what I mean. They like to brawl. Bobby Green, definitely a better wrestler than Jim Miller. I'll give him that. You could see him take it down to the ground, him try to use some jiu-jitsu, but nonetheless, both of these dudes have massive respect for both of them. Bobby Green, been around for a while. I believe he's currently 30. Let's see if they have his age here, where I just pulled up his page. Surprised they don't. UFC, you should add that to your list. I should know this. I agree, but Bobby Green, I want to say he's 32. He's not super young, is my point, Bobby Green. But nonetheless, he's a great fighter. Right now ranked 14 in the lightweight division. Jim Miller, I didn't see his last fight. His last fight was against Benitez, I believe it's pronounced. I don't know. I have it up on my page. I looked it up last night. I just don't know how to say the dude's name. But I didn't see that fight on fight night. He got the win. It was on the Ankalev Walker card. And I believe this was the one that, if I remember correctly, this was the card where Ankalev won by, oh, no. All right, I'm thinking of a different fight. But yeah, I didn't watch his fight night. So, I mean, Jim Miller did win his last fight by decision, completely outclassed the dude. Obviously, he did have a submission attempt. I mean, he won by submission. I don't know why it said decision, and then I scrolled down and said submission. So I don't know what. I think he won by, I just looked it up. So he won by submission. But Jim Miller, this is going to be a good fight. I mean, they're both good wrestlers. These are two classic fighters, man. This is going to be a good fight. Two classic fighters. Jim Miller, the submission artist. Bobby Green, a big BJJ guy. I'm taking Bobby Green, but that's going to be it's going to be a purist fight. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a good fight. That's going to be such a good fight. Oh, my God. Also on the early prelims, just going through this whole card, I got it listed up right here. You got Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez, a big fight in the strawweight division for the women's, actually. Both in the top 10. Marina's at 6. Andrade is Andrade. I've talked about her multiple times on this show. She's an absolute beast. She is the definition of a fighter that could, an all-around UFC fighter. She's not going to only beat you one way. Andrade can knock you out. Andrade can wrestle. She's got wins by submission. She's got knockout wins. She's got decision wins. Her last fight was at 285 against Mackenzie Dern. And if you guys remember that, Mackenzie Dern just got pummeled. She just got pummeled by Jessica Andrade in that fight. So, this fight against Marina Rodriguez will be pretty good. Marina Rodriguez you haven't seen a lot of her grappling before. She doesn't do a lot of takedowns. She likes to stand up. Standing up with Andrade is scary though, man. Andrade just has such fast hands, such hard hands. She's just such a vet in this game. Marina Rodriguez is going to have to be on her best game. I mean, she has the reach advantage, which helps. You got a 3-inch reach advantage. So that helps extremely. But nonetheless, Jessica Andrade coming off that big win against Mackenzie Dern, too. I think she's definitely going to want to prove a point in this fight. Like 110%. I think she's going to want to prove a point here. Marina Rodriguez is coming off a win at Fight Night against Michelle Waterson-Gomez, which obviously that's a very good obviously that's a nice little matchup. Michelle Waterson-Gomez is an impressive win, an impressive person to knock out from Marina Rodriguez. Again, I mean, I saw the highlights from this fight. Do they do justice? No. It's hard to... When it comes to fight highlights, in my opinion, they don't do great justice of showing you the vibe and the flow of the fight. So I don't know how dominant the knockout win was. I mean, she got a performance of the night bonus. So, nonetheless, it was an impressive knockout. The odds are even. So Vegas is saying this is an even fight. Vegas is saying this is going to be a fun one. So I say it's going to be a fun one. What's scary is if Jessica Andrade can bring this to the ground, Marina Rodriguez seems out of her element. I mean, she's good at defending the takedown, but besides that, once she gets on the ground, she's not very great. So that's what Andrade has to try to expose here. But hey, Andrade is the type of fighter that I would not be surprised if Jessica Andrade walked in there and tapped gloves and said, let's go. 1-2. I would not be surprised. Because that's what she did to Mackenzie Dern. She looked at Mackenzie Dern. I mean, Mackenzie Dern's obviously a lot better of a wrestler than Marina Rodriguez. But she looked at Mackenzie Dern and was like, oh, you want to stand up? Pop, 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 pop. And exposed Mackenzie Dern. Absolutely exposed Mackenzie Dern. So that's a good one. Remember, these are all the free fights. These are the free fights on Fight Pass. Damn, these are on Fight Pass? These aren't even on ESPN? What are you doing in the UFC? Or maybe they're just saying it's on Fight Pass because I'm on UFC.com looking at the card. I don't know. Last fight of the early prelims, we have Renato Moicano versus Jalen Turner. Moicano, I've done a little research on the guy. I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about him. I mean, he's sitting here. His current record in the UFC is what? It's 10 or 18. His current professional record is 18-5. I mean, he likes to wrestle more than Jalen Turner, but yeah, from my research and from what I'm looking at here at the stats again, just to make sure I got everything right. Not a huge grappler, Moicano. Nonetheless, obviously, he's gotten to this point fighting Jalen Turner for a reason. Jalen Turner is very good. Jalen Turner's a brawler. He's coming off that last fight in December against Bobby Green, which was that fight was. I remember watching the replay. I went back and watched that fight, and that was a brawl. That was such a good fight between Bobby Green and Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner getting the decision win. This one should also, I mean, I'm taking Jalen Turner, because like I said, I just don't know much about Moicano. They haven't even come out with the odds for this fight yet. So I don't know what Vegas is feeling, if they're feeling it's just that much of a toss-up. And if they are, then excuse me. But if they are, then good for Moisiano. I mean, it should be a fun fight. I take Jalen Turner in this though. Honestly, maybe. Now getting into the prelims on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Oh my God, bro, this card is so loaded. Sadiq Youssef uh, versus Diego Lopez is opening up the prelims. Now, some context to Diego Lopez has been on a little bit of a roll recently. His last fight was against Sabatini at 295. So he fought not too long ago. He fought, what was that, November 295? So he fought less than 4 months ago. He fought Sabatini, which Diego Lopez put on a very entertaining fight that night. Got the knockout win quick. Got in and out of there against Sabatini. Caught him with a right hook, if I remember correct. I don't know. I watched it last night, and I can't remember now. But I think it was a right hook he caught him with. Just an amazing performance for Diego Lopez in that fight. Earned himself a top 15 fight. They gave him Sadiq Youssef, who I did not see his last fight at all. I couldn't find much of it online. So like I really haven't seen his last fight against Edison Barbosa, where he lost. He lost too. He's coming off a loss against Barbosa. But I mean, Sadiq Youssef is an entertaining fighter, man. This one I think will be a good fight because Diego Lopez likes to stand up. Sadiq Youssef, to put in context how exciting he is, if you have seen that viral spin knockout where it's Sadiq Youssef where he throws the kick and it gets caught, and then he throws the spinning kick as the dude's holding his leg. That was Sadiq Youssef. So he's an exciting fighter. He's got a lot of interesting stuff that he's going to throw out there, have fun with, go back and forth, boom, boom, boom. This one, I think, should be longer than Diego Lopez's last fight. I think this one could I don't know about go the distance, but these dudes are definitely, I think this one's going to be a brawl. This one is going to be a brawl. Right now, Diego Lopez is favored. He's at minus 162 for you betting folk. But nonetheless, this one, again, just to start the prelims, fight after fight in this card is just loaded. It's just stacked. Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison making her UFC debut. Do they have a page up for her yet? They do. She is currently 16-1, was obviously a PFL star, finally making it over here to the UFC right after Michael Venom Page did it at 299, trying to make an impact in the bantamweight division, fighting a legend in Holly Holm. Obviously, I think everybody's seen the head kick heard around the world when she defeated arguably the greatest women's fighter of all time in Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm, just such an icon in women's MMA from back in her days in Invictus and all that. Hasn't fought since July of last year, where she was the main event on a fight night against Maria Bueno Silva, and she lost by submission. So Holly Holm, it's been over a year since it's been almost a full year since she fought. Trying to get back to winning ways. Kayla Harrison's a fun person to get back to winning ways against. Neither of them really like to wrestle anyway. So this one should be fun for the women's division, for that bantamweight division. Hopefully Kayla Harrison, in my opinion, Kayla Harrison can make a statement in her debut, and that's an exciting one to look for. That's not, obviously all these are excited. We're still in the prelims, and I'm talking about Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Still going up the card, Aljo Calvin Kattar in the featherweight. We got a former champion on the prelims, a former bantamweight champion, finally making his time. He feels like it's time for him to stop making those Jurassic weight cuts, go up in weight. Aljo fighting Calvin Kattar. They already have him ranked as the second-ranked featherweight. So I think this is I don't think this is his featherweight debut, if I remember correctly. I believe he fought some. No, yeah, because his last fight was the loss to O'Malley. Never mind. So it is his first. So making his featherweight debut against someone like Calvin Kattar, very fun. Kattar, stylistically very different. Not a huge wrestler. I assume that's where Aljo's going to try to expose. Hence, that's why I believe he's favored. Not by much. He's at minus 108. Calvin Kattar's at minus 112. So the odds are very good, but just like the odds are very close. But Aljo slightly favored. I just this is a close fight. If Calvin Kattar can do what he does well and stop and defend takedowns, that's where you have this interesting because Aljo's going to try to take this to the ground. Obviously, he's Aljamain Sterling. That's where he thrives. But Calvin Kattar is very good at keeping it off the ground. Calvin Kattar is very sneaky at getting strikes in as you're trying to get takedowns. So, a very interesting fight here with Kattar and Sterling. I'm taking Aljo. I mean, he's coming off that loss. If he, like I said, Aljo is extremely comfortable in this fight if he could take it to the ground. If Aljo could take this fight to the ground, he's in his element now. You have obviously Kattar out of his element because Kattar is a 90-plus takedown defense type of dude. I think he's at like 90, 91% takedown defense. So you got if you could get Calvin Kattar out of his element, you're extremely comfortable if you're Aljamain Sterling. But that's going to be the hard part. Calvin Kattar is very sneaky. He's very good at throwing sneaky uppercuts in that they won't knock you out, but they'll rock you. They'll stop you from doing takedowns. That's what he's very good at. He's very good at getting those strikes that are going to stop the takedown as much as they can. So that one's going to be an extremely close one that I'm excited for. I'm going to take Aljo because Aljo takes down people who have never been taken down before, especially now he's got a little extra weight on him. I think it should be fun for Aljo. So I'm going to take Aljo on this one. And then to end the prelims, we have a dude who's coming off a title fight against the guy who is main eventing this card. Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. This one is going to be an absolute brawl. This one's a brawl. Both of them coming off losses. Obviously, Yuri's coming off the decision loss to Alex at UFC 285 back in November. Alexander Rakic is coming off a loss to Jan Blachowicz back in May of 2022, almost 2 years ago. I believe he's been injured for a little bit too. I think he got injured in training for his last fight, which was supposed to be against Yuri. So finally getting this fight done. Yuri at plus 110, Rakic at minus 130. Yuri, obviously, the Czech samurai. Just, oh my God, this one is going to be fun. This one is going to be fun. Yuri coming off a loss. Rakic coming off a loss. Both of them, many wins by knockout. Yuri's got 25 wins by knockout, which when I saw that, I was in shock. Rakic still getting his feet under him. Younger dude. They don't have. Why does UFC not put out the ages on their site? I know I should have done that. I don't know why I completely ignored that yesterday for everyone, but still. Yeah, both of them coming off losses. Sorry. Prochazka's got the reach advantage, so I don't know, bro. This one, I don't see this one going to the ground much. I don't. I mean, Yuri might want to wrestle, but Yuri don't love wrestling. Jakic don't love wrestling. They both want to brawl. Yuri is just such a unique fighter. It's going to be so hard for, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be so hard for Rakic to figure out the type of strikes Yuri's throwing. They're so unique and different. The reason that the Alex fight worked so well against Yuri is because Alex is the same way, where his strikes are just so unique and different and pinpoint. Yuri's like that as well, where every strike is so calculated that as long as Yuri doesn't get caught, as long as he defends the leg kick, which he doesn't do in his big losses, he'll be fine. I'm gonna go with the favorite here. I'm gonna lean towards Yuri, but this one might be the most entertaining fight of the night outside of the main event. If I'm being completely honest, this might be fight of the night outside of the main event. That or Gage, oh my God, or Gaethje, man. Bo Nichols squeezed his way onto the main card. I think Bo Nichols should have been on the prelims, but UFC likes pushing him. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bo Nichols good. He's sitting there at, like, I know Rocket's his favorite. All right, let's put in perspective how much the UFC in Vegas likes Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal is on the main card. Let's see. The biggest favorite we've seen up to this point in all the fights we were talking about is Figueiredo at minus 340 against Garbrandt. That's the best favorite we've seen. Bo Nickal is favored by minus 1350, you betting people. That is insane. They are saying that Cody Bunridge, why even make the fight then? Especially at 300 UFC. I mean, this dude doesn't have a lot of fights. He's coming off a win in the division, and I guess it's because Bo Nickal isn't ranked yet. I get that. But give him a ranked fighter then. If you have him fighting someone minus 1350, you're trying to just push this dude so heavy. So, I'm not really even going to break this fight down because it's obvious Bo Nickal should win. If Bo Nickal loses, it's an insane upset. That is an insane upset. Insane. And to put that fight on the main card, I'm sorry, Dana. You just want your dude to have eyes on him. That's what it is. They just want Bo Nichols with every eye on him because he's impressive and he's fun to watch. He's one of the first fun wrestlers to watch. So they want to push him. They do. They want to push the kid, and clearly they are because they're giving him an opponent that if he's walking out there minus 1350, that's just insane. Next on the main card, we got the return of my man, Charlie Olives. He's going to fight Arman Turskan. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or it's like Sarkun. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Arman. I'm just going to call him Arman. This one should be a good fight. Boring for you non-UFC fans, you non-fighting fans. This one is a wrestling match and a half. I mean, obviously, first round, they'll feel themselves out, but both of these dudes, one being Armenian, one being the BJJ legend in what Charlie Olives is, just should be this one should be like such a technical fight, a back and forth one. The last time we saw Charlie Oliveira was UFC 280. What is that? What is this? 284 or 289? Last time we saw him was 289 against Dariush, where he won by knockout. That I remember that in Vancouver. That was a good one. Haven't seen him now in almost a full year. It's going to be great to see Charlie Olives get back in that octagon. We almost got the rematch against the also elusive Islam, but instead we saw one of the most iconic knockouts ever because Volk took that fight after Charlie Olives' injury. And now we're sitting here. Charlie Olives got a fight on 300 against Arman. He's not favored. Arman's also coming off a win versus Dariush. So both of them, their last fight was their most recent dude. Obviously, both these dudes, they like to wrestle, but they like to wrestle differently. While Arman's more of a pound and ground type of dude, Charlie Olives is sneakies, always looking for some sort of submission. Everybody knows it. The Charles Oliveira on your back is one of the scariest things in fighting because of how deadly he is at slipping in rear naked chokes and chokes. Has done it to people while they're standing. So, I don't see why at least from Oliveira's perspective, he's going to go away from his ways of trying to wrestle. Maybe Armand's game plan is to try to keep him up because Armand does have pretty good takedown defense. I don't know. This one should be an interesting fight. The fight could be fought in a lot of different ways. It's going to be an extremely technical fight. It's going to be an extremely slow-feeling fight, but a fun one nonetheless. I'm rooting for Charles, so I'm going to take him right now, even though he's the underdog. I'm rooting for Charlie Olives to get a dub. He's one of my favorite fighters. I got to. Then we are in our final 3 fights of the night. Are just so good. Technically, 3 title fights to end the night of UFC 300, and it all starts with Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the elusive BMF belt. Gaethje's last fight was the knockout of Poirier for the BMF belt. Now Max Holloway coming in here. You know him. I'm the best boxer in the UFC. A dude who looks at the commentary crew dodging punches. Someone who is one of the greatest strikers to walk around. So many iconic brawls from the both of these men. And finally they meet for, I believe, the second time in their career, if not the first. And this one is just like a dream fight for us UFC fans. Such a dream fight for us UFC fans. This is one where you're going to see classic Max Holloway moments. He might point down at the octagon, and you might just see no blocking strikes and respect of hands. There will be very, very little grappling, in my opinion, in this fight. These are 2 dudes who are going in to try to prove that they are the BMF, the baddest mudda bleeper out there in the UFC, and they're going to want to do it. Gaethje loves to do it. You saw it in his brawl against Poirier. You saw it in his brawl against Chandler. You saw it in his brawl against Conor when they fought. Gaethje is such a talent. And then Max Holloway, obviously, like I said, the moment of I'm the best boxer in the UFC. Some of the greatest knockouts of all time. Some of the classic fights against Ortega and the classic fight against TKZ. So many brawls. I cannot wait for this fight to happen. I'm on the edge of my seat already on Saturday for this fight. It should be so good. I'm personally taking Max Holloway by decision because I think Gaethje's chin is out of this world. I think Holloway's chin is out of this world. I think they're going to eat punches. I'm so excited for this one, man. Give me the dog. Give me the underdog. Give me Max Holloway. Weili, Yan Zohan. Weili's just been such a dominant champion over the past couple years, only losing the title to Rose and Jędrzejczyk, coming off that dominant win against Lemos. I can't remember Lemos' first name for some reason. But absolutely dominant win over Lemos, just humbled her the whole time. Showed why I am the champ. Yan Zohan, her last fight was in May of last year where she defeated Jessica Andrade, and I do remember that fight lightly. I do remember watching that event, and it put me on to who Yan Zohan was. She's a very fun fighter. This is another one where I don't know how much grappling we're going to see. I mean, Weili might do it because she does like to do that. She likes to beat on you. You know what I mean? She likes to take you down and beat you the classic way. She's not going to beat you by submission most of the time. She has before, but most of the time she's not. What Weili likes to do with those takedowns is takes you down and finds you in a position where she could just keep pounding on your face and just tires you out for 5 rounds. So it'll be fun to see the way this goes. I mean, Johan, let me pull it up again. I had it. Uh, most of her wins. Yeah, I mean she's 17-3 overall. She's got but eight knockout wins. No wins ever by submission. Just doesn't fight on the ground a lot. Obviously 50-50 knockout with 17 wins, 8 knockouts. The other fights are all decisions. So she's gonna like to stand up. It's gonna be a good fight. This one should be entertaining. I'm taking Wei Li. I'm a huge Wei Li guy. I think she's just absolutely dominant. So I'm gonna take Wei Li in this fight. This one could easily go the distance, especially the way Wei Li fights. I would not bet on anyone going to bed there, but definitely a very, very interesting fight. Definitely a very good one. I don't know enough about the matchup as a whole stylistically. I don't know much about Yan Zohan. So it seems like a bad stylistic matchup for her, but shout out China is going to be able to represent first ever, I believe the first time ever that it is 2 Chinese women fighting for a title fight. Excuse me. But yeah, it is the first time ever that two Chinese women are fighting in a title fight for the championship. So shout out both of them, breaking barriers, doing good things, but they're going to be breaking each other's faces in a few days. I'm going to take Wei Li to she's such a dominant champion. I think the fight could get close. I think Yan Zohan could catch her. And that's where it gets scary, is if you got a Rose catch, you know what I mean, with a head kick or something like that. I think Yan Zohan could catch Zhang Wei Li, but yeah, I'm going to take Wei Li. I'm going to take Zhang Wei Li. And then finally, I know I've been talking about it for the full 40 minutes of the show, but I was planning on doing that. It's a special, special week with UFC 300 coming up. And the title fight, it ends. Alex Potan Pereira, in his first title defense, will be fighting the former light heavyweight champion, a man that without him vacating the belt, you have Alex does not even have the chance to go get it. Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill, currently is the plus 130 favorite going into this one against the plus 130 underdog against Alex Potan Pereira. Obviously, Alex coming off that very impressive 295 victory over the one, the only, the Czech Samurai Yuri Prochazka. Alex is just so impressive, man. Over and over since he has came into the UFC. Obviously, his first fight in the UFC shocks Sean, I believe it was the Sean Strickland fight. Knocked out the current champ before he was champ, but knocks him out with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful straight, because you can't stand up with that man. Then goes on to fight the Israel Adesanya, the style bender. Alex said, guess what? I'm his kryptonite. Knocked him out, beat him for the 3rd straight time. Then Izzy got his revenge. They shook hands, and Alex moved on with how big he is. Being able to fight at 205 or 204 is so impressive. Letting him gain that weight at his size at 6'4". Oh my God, I can't wait. And then you've got Jamal Hill. Obviously had to vacate the title because he felt he couldn't be around enough after his injury. Had such an impressive win over Glover Teixeira. Didn't get a title defense, if I remember correctly. Never got a title defense. Hasn't fought in over a year. Wants his belt back. And he's out there saying he is not only going to beat Pereira, he wants to knock him out. And that's a dangerous thing to say about Potan. Good old Stone Hands himself. This one is going to be a brawl. Jamal Hill is a dude who respects himself and is not going to be put down easily. He's going to want to fight. He's going to want to swing with Alex Pereira. But as I've said a couple of times right here, right now, Alex Pereira is the scariest person to stand in front of in the UFC currently. It's not even close. It's either him or Ilia Topuria are the two scariest people to stand in front of in the UFC right now. For different reasons, similar but different reasons. Because Ilia, it's his speed. Ilia, it's his speed of his hands. That's absolutely terrifying. It's the speed and the power. Pereira, it's just the power. Any punch that lands on your face thrown by Alex Pereira can knock you out. That's how hard his hands are. And we saw it in the Sean Strickland fight because that was just a nice little jab that rocked Strickland. We even saw it in the Izzy fight. Like that Izzy fight, there was one punch that wobbled Izzy, and then boof, 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 and he put him out. It's very, very, very hard to stand in front of Alex Pereira. And if Jamal Hill thinks he's going to do it, it's going to be difficult. It is going to be hard, man. It is going to be so hard for him to do that. And if he can, he deserves to be champion. It's that simple. If he could stand up with Alex Pereira for 5 rounds and survive and knock that man out, shout out to Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. This one is going to be a good fight. I think it goes, I don't think it goes the distance. I think one of them gets slept. I don't think it goes the distance at all. Personally, I'm taking Alex. I think he's just that goddamn good. I'd take Pereira. But nonetheless, this one should be entertaining. This one should be great. Speaking of champions, UConn, man. UConn. What a dominant run through the tournament it was for the UConn Huskies. Their closest game was the national championship last night, where they decided to win by only 15. Or actually, no, all right, Alabama was 14. But still, just an absolute dominant run out of UConn. I was saying it to my roommate last night. Their regular season games against Big East teams were so much closer than anything they played. Like here at St. John's, our biggest blowout to them was by 8. They didn't lose a game by less than 14 points. They didn't lose a game by less than 14 points in the national in the NCAA tournament. They got to the Final Four without being down by less than 20. Like, that is insane. Or up by less than 20. Like, that's insane. That is just such an impressive performance from Dan Hurley, from that whole squad to get back-to-back championships. Obviously, Zach Edey did perform extremely well. Had 37 of the 60 points that Purdue scored. Had all but 23 points. There was not any more that Zach Edey could have done. The rest of his team just absolutely disappointed him, honestly. And then the exact opposite when it came to UConn, with Newton having 20 points. Stephon Castle had 15. Cam Spencer had 15. Klingon had 11 and 5. Diarra had 9. They moved the ball. They did well. They were very impressive, and shout out UConn. I hate to say it. I really do. I hate to say it, but shout out UConn. Ironically enough, one of the only 3 teams to beat them this year was the Seton Hall Pirates. They won the NIT. I'm not clapping for Seton Hall. I absolutely hate that school. But, yeah, I mean, just not much to say. Extremely impressive. Extremely, extremely, extremely impressive. As we finish up here, oh, man. How about the Yankees, bro? How about the Yankees? They play at 7:05 tonight, coming off that 7-0 win yesterday against the Marlins at home. Nestor finally gets his first win of the year. Didn't give up 90 runs in the first 6 innings this time. So good job by Nestor. Juan Soto, I believe, hit a home run. I believe it was his first home run at Yankee Stadium. So shout out Juan Soto for finally finding that left field fence. It was beautiful. Great day. He's been playing well recently. You got to keep him in the lineup. I know it's bro. Just give him the proper rest. I mean, Oswaldo Cabrera has been playing absolutely insane. I'm happy he's going to be getting rest in the series. Got rest in the first game too. But we are in such an interesting spot there with the Berti, and a good interesting spot as a Yankee fan with John Berti, Volpe, and Oswaldo Cabrera. That little rotation there. Because Oswaldo has been playing so well at third. Played well at short, too. Volpe's been hitting well, hit extremely well last night. Berti didn't play well last night, but has been playing well since he got here, especially on the bag. Defensively has been playing very, very, very good. And obviously Juan Soto. Juan Soto last night went 2 for 3 with a home run and a double and a walk. What an addition by the Yankees. What an addition from the Yankees. I'm so happy. I'm so happy we got him. Play tonight, like I said, at 7:05. I believe it should be Rodon pitching tonight, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it is. So Rodon will be pitching. Hopefully he could pick up his first win of the year, survive more than 5 innings, be the dude we paid him to be. We're playing the Marlins. If we lose, I'm kind of disappointed at all. If we don't sweep them in this series, I'm going to be extremely upset the way we've been playing. So, go Yankees. Go Yankees. The Knicks, currently sitting at 4th in the East as of right now, would play the Cavs. Oh my God. The Bucks are 15 games behind the Celtics. And the Rockets are 16 games behind the 1 seed. Think of that. The Rockets, who, if I remember, were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Now are 16 games behind the 1 seed at 11 in the West, right? At 11. In the Eastern Conference, the 2 seed is 15 games behind the Celtics. That's insane. But the Knicks, as of right now, would play the Cavs in a rematch of last year's playoff series, and hopefully they'd be able to get it done again at home in that 4-5 matchup. That would be fun. The Knicks play tonight, if I remember correctly. Season's coming to an end here, not a lot of games. Yeah, they play the Bulls tonight in Chicago. Celtics on Thursday. Then we got our little Nets game, and then home against the Bulls on April 14th, and that will be our final game. Will be this Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday is when the Knicks season ends and the playoffs begin, so that is getting underway. That'll be extremely, extremely exciting. Along with that, I think hockey playoffs either start at the same week or the week after, so that one will be great too. Yeah. And then, yeah, like I said, shout out Cody Rhodes for finishing the story. WrestleMania last night, as I said earlier. Shout out UConn Huskies for winning the national championship. Shout out the Yankees for doing what they're doing. And not only that, we got UFC 300 this weekend, which will be absolutely insane. So much fun to watch. I can't wait. The biggest event in UFC history as of the moment. So it'll be great. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for listening here on WSJU and on YouTube, tuning into the live stream. If you haven't already, go subscribe to me on YouTube at The Log Show. Go watch the live streams if you can. It always helps. Every subscription, every view helps. So go check me out there. Also, check me out on all my socials. They are all also on the YouTube page. Check me out there. Clips, all that should be coming soon. Thank you guys again, everybody, for tuning in to the Log Show today. I will see all of you guys next Tuesday. Peace out.